Hi, everyone. I want to keep this short. You all know about the great products here at Old Time Radio DVD. Well, now's the time to purchase. Why now? Just can't afford to keep on doing this forever for free. So go to oldtimeradiodvd.com. Take advantage of our great pricing.
The Fibber McGee and Molly Show, rebroadcast for the American Armed Forces and their allies. For you soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, it's time for Billy Mills and his orchestra, the King's Men, Ransom Sherman, Arthur Q. Bryan, and Fibber McGee and Molly.
One of the things that Mrs. McGee is never quite sure about is whether it's more satisfactory to send her husband to the grocery store or go herself. At the moment, however, she's trying it the hard way once again. As we meet Fibber McGee and Molly.
Now, let me get that again. A loaf of bread, half a dozen eggs, and a can of corn. Is that all?
That's all. Mm-hmm. Shall I write it down on a slip of paper for you?
Why, certainly not. My gosh, anybody that couldn't remember three simple little items like a loaf of bread and a can of corn and that other...
Half a dozen eggs.
Half a dozen eggs. I got it. How about some meat?
We're all out of meat points.
Okay, that's what we'll have then.
What?
Leg of nuttin'. Well, here I go, laughing and scratching. Corn, eggs, and bread. Corn, eggs, and bread.
So you have the phone call put on our bill, too.
What phone call?
The one where you called me up and asked me what was it besides eggs and bread?
Don't worry, Snooky. I got it. Now, wait a minute. Let me see. Cornbread and eggs. Cornbread and eggs. Cornbread and eggs. Seems to me there was three things she wanted. Eggs, cornbread, and something else. Oh, well, she'll be expecting me to call up anyway.
Say, excuse me, but could you tell me what... Well, I'll be a... If it isn't good, well, by George, it certainly is. Well, how are you, old man?
Why, I'm fine.
Well, I set these strips down a minute. Uh-huh. There, put her there. Boy, it's grand to see you again after all these years. You're looking great.
Well, thanks. Well, you're looking great, too.
It's been so many years since we met. I can't believe it's really you.
Oh, yeah, it's me, all right. But you...
Well, you filled out a little, though.
Yeah.
Broader in the shoulders. That little touch of gray hair, very distinguished.
Oh, it's nothing.
Yes, it is. Say, you remember me, don't you? Bill Smith, back in school?
Bill Smith? You mean back in Peoria?
Yeah, Peoria. Good old Peoria. What times we used to have in the old... To say you are, I mean, I haven't made a mistake, have I? Your name is...
McGee. Fibber McGee. You had it right.
I'm sure I have. By George, this is great, isn't it? Say, whatever happened to that little girl you were going with, the pretty one? She lived over by the, on the other side. You
mean Molly Driscoll? Why, shucks, I married her, Bill.
No kid.
Yeah.
You lucky son of a gun.
Yeah.
There was a great little girl, that Molly. Well, tell her old Bill Smith said to say hello.
Hey, why don't you tell her yourself? We live right here. Come on in. She'd love to meet anybody from the old hometown.
Hate to barge in on her like this.
Horse feathers. Hey, Molly, look who I found. Walking the streets like an old bum. Remember Bill Smith we used to go to school with in Peoria?
Well, how do you do, I'm sure, Mr. Smith.
Molly, well, you haven't changed a bit. And don't call me Mr. Smith, either. It was Bill when we were both in, what was the name again? The tough teacher we had that...
Miss Fiddish.
Miss Fiddish.
Yes.
That's the one. What a woman. She had a face like a tired cantaloupe. Molly, you look wonderful. If I hadn't happened to be passing an old fibber, hadn't recognized
I knew you the minute I saw you, Bill. Of course, I got a terrific memory for faces. So
McGee, why do you let why do you let Bill stand there with those suitcases? Give the man a chair.
Oh, for gosh sakes. Here, sit down. Sit down, Billy boy, sit down.
Billy boy. I haven't heard that since the old days when you were on the team, Fibber.
What team was that, Bill?
What do you mean, what team? I was second blade on the Mumbledy Peg team, wasn't I?
Oh, this is wonderful. Just arrived in town, and I meet up with two of my old school day friends. You know, sometimes I...
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, come right in, Alice, dear.
Well, I was just going
Hi, Alice.
Oh, your daughter, McGee? Amazing resemblance.
No, Alice isn't our daughter, William. She's just...
Oh, not your granddaughter.
No.
Jeepers, I'm not really a relative at all, Mr.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Smith, this is Alice Darling. Alice, shake hands with our old school chum, Bill Smith.
Delighted to meet you, Alice.
How do you do?
Alice is doing war work at the airplane plant, Mr. Smith.
She's a welder, Bill. Carrying the torch for several thousand aviators, you might say.
No relation, eh? I would have
Oh,
thought.
I'm not really related, Mr. Smith. But after all, Mrs. McGee has been just like a mother. Like a big sister.
Thanks for the reduction in rank, dear.
And Mr. McGee is sort of a second father to me. In fact, he acts a lot like my real father, especially when I forget my key at night and he has to come down and let me in.
Oh, I don't mind, Alice. My gosh, a guy'd have to be pretty bad-tempered to mind waking up out of a sound sleep at 2 a.m., getting out of bed onto the icy floor, stubbing his toe against the door facing, falling over an end table, going downstairs to let somebody in who's only lost 4 door keys so far.
Did you want to see me about something, Alice?
Oh, nothing in particular, thanks. Well, goodbye, Mr. Smith. I suppose I'll see you in the morning.
I'm afraid not, Alice. I'm just in town overnight on business, and as soon as I check into a hotel...
My gosh, Bill, I never even asked you where you were staying.
Oh, they'll never let you stay at a hotel, Mr. Smith. Oh, you might just as well relax. Mr. and Mrs. McGee are the most hospitable people in town, and any time an old friend of theirs shows up, well... I better be going, I guess. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Alice.
Well, I guess I better be shoving off, too.
No,
so...
sir, you're staying right here tonight, Billy boy.
Of course, William.
Oh, I couldn't impose on you like this, after all.
Come on. Give me them suitcases. How's Uncle Dennis's room, Molly?
It's all ready, dearie.
Fine.
Uncle Dennis won't be back for several days.
Yeah.
Uncle Dennis, is he the uncle who...
Yes, but not as much as he used to. Well, come on now.
Billy Mills and the orchestra playing Temptation.
You'd better get back to the grocery as soon as you can, McGee, if Mr. Smith stays for dinner.
Oh, he will. Gee whiz, we can't turn an old schoolmate away.
Incidentally, what does this Mr. Smith do, McGee?
Search me. I hated to ask him. And there's nothing in his wallet that gives a clue.
In his wallet?
Yeah, nothing but $65 in cash, some credit cards, 2 mutual tickets from Hialeah, a card with his wife's birthday and wedding anniversary wrote on it, and a recipe for how to make a gimlet.
Oh, a gimlet. Maybe he's a tool maker.
Ah, could be.
Say, McGee, what were you doing going through the man's wallet? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Why, Molly, you know I wouldn't do a thing like that. All that stuff fell out of his wallet when it dropped on the floor when I shook his coat. Oh, well,
Well, where is he now?
He's washing up. Says he'd be right down. He asked me who crocheted them guest towels, and I told him you did, Molly. And he says he'd wipe his hands on his shirt tail before he touched them beautiful things.
Oh, my goodness, those were just some old vests.
Come in.
Oh, Mr. Wellington.
Good day, good day. Mrs. McGee, how charming you look. And McGee, how?
How?
Say, if you two Potawatomis want to make big medicine, the squaw can go chip a few arrowheads.
Not at all, Mrs. McGee. Not at all. I merely called to remind Chairman McGee.
Chairman McGee? What am I chairman of now? Doggone it, you guys slap me on every committee that any egghead can think up. And I can't come to any meetings tonight, too.
No,
anyway.
we have a house guest, Mr. Wellington, an old schoolmate from Peoria. After all these years.
Ah, yes. As the fellow said after he wore bow ties for 15 years, long tie, no see. But there's nothing like meeting old friends. Now, you take my half-brother.
Why?
Well, frankly, I don't want him. What good is half a brother? Try to borrow $20, and what do you get? 10. Play a game of golf with him, and what does he do? Quits after 9 holes.
Say, is he the brother that keeps turning his head and winking at you, Mr. Wellington? You know, the one that ran the lighthouse for so many years?
No, that is my cousin, Torpid Wellington.
Oh, yeah.
My cousin once removed, which everyone agrees wasn't often enough.
Well, it must be wonderful to be a half-brother and only have to sit through part of a double feature. What does he do, Sig?
He is an executive of that factory on Oak Street, the one that manufactures the cedar chests.
Oh, yes.
Do you know that in 1927 they made only 724 cedar chests? But in 1943, I repeat that, in 1943, they made 4,367. Isn't that some?
Somewhat.
Chest expansion? Well, try and make the meeting if possible, old fellow. A fond toodaloo to you, Mrs. McGee, and to you, McGee. Ooh.
Big chiseler.
No, he's nothing of the kind. Mr. Wellington is the soul of honor.
You got him 2 inches too far forward in the shoe, baby. That guy's one of those kinds of...
Well, I certainly feel refreshed. This is a very comfortable home you have here. You own it, Fibber?
It's a partnership deal, Bill.
Oh, you and Molly?
No, us and the FHA.
You don't know what it means to be far from home and run into 2 old friends like this. Say, you remember that store in Peoria where us fellas used to hang out, Fibber?
Huh?
You know the one down on the right across from the
Oh, the Puff Cigar Store.
The Puff Cigar
Yes,
Store. I hadn't
yes.
thought of that place for years. Those are great old days. What have you been doing yourselves, anyway?
Well, himself here was in vaudeville for a while, Mr. Smith.
Vaudeville, huh?
Yes, sir. A guy and I by the name of Fred Nittany from Starved Rock, Illinois. Yeah. Had a great little act. Songs, dances, and comical sayings. Had so many bookings, we never played the same place twice.
Ah, those lucky places. Say, tell Mr. Smith the joke you and Fred Nittany always used to do, McGee.
Which one, Molly?
You know, the one where you come out in the hip boots and Fred said, "What are those?" And you say, "These are my golf shoes." And he said, "Golf shoes?" And you say, "Yes, a hole in one." Tell Mr. Smith that one.
I wish you would.
No, I don't want to get those jokes started again. Might want to revive the old act anytime now. I never
Must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You didn't make all your money in vaudeville.
As a matter of fact, he didn't make any of it in vaudeville.
As a matter of fact, I didn't. Hey, you remember the time?
Hello, Molly. Hiya, pal. Hi there, old... Oh, excuse me. I thought it was somebody else.
Come on in, Mr. Wilcox. This is Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, Mr. Wilcox.
How do you do, sir?
How are you?
Mr. Smith is an old friend of ours, Mr. Wilcox.
Knew us back in our old school days, Junior.
Well, looks a little young to have been a truant officer that long ago.
Well, you're looking nice, Mr. Wilcox. How's everything with you?
Oh, wonderful, Molly. Business has been wonderful.
Oh, business. Don't you ever think of anything but business?
Let me think. Nope.
What is your business, Mr. Wilcox?
Oh, dear.
Rocket ship for Racine, leaving on track 2.
The King's Men singing Sourwood Mountain.
I've got a gal in the Sourwood Mountains. Hold it down, fiddle-I-day. She won't come and I won't call her. Hold it down, fiddle-I-day. Roosters are crowing in the Sourwood Mountains. Hold it down, fiddle-I-day. So many pretty gals I can't count 'em. Hold it down, fiddle-I-day. Big dogs bark and the little ones will bite you. Hold it down, fiddle-I-day. Big girls court and the little ones fight ya. Oh, diddle down, fiddle-I-day. My true love lives up in Ledger. Oh, diddle down, fiddle-I-day. She won't come and I won't fetch her. Oh, diddle down, fiddle-I-day. My true love lives over the river. Oh, down the fiddle come some of them days. A few more jumps and I'll be with her. Oh, down the fiddle come some of them days. I've got a gal at the head of the holler. Oh, down the fiddle come some of them days. She won't come and I won't follow her. Oh, down the fiddle come some of them days. I got a gal to the side of the pasture. Oh, beyond the Italy day. She won't come and I won't ask her. Oh, beyond the Italy day. I just wrote her a lovesick letter. Oh, beyond the Italy day. If she wants to read her, she will have to come and get her. Oh, beyond the Italy day. Oh, man, I want your daughter. She must bake and carry me water. Oh, man, I want your daughter. Down, diddle, down, diddle, down, diddle, day. She must bake and carry me water. Oh, diddle, hi, diddle, hey, diddle, one of these
Hey, that reminds me. What time is it? I've simply got to get downtown. I got so interested in talking to Mr. Wilcox here, I almost, I forgot I have a couple of business calls to make.
Oh, but look, Bill, gee whiz.
Hey, I'd be glad to drive you downtown, Mr. Smith.
Well,
Say, I'd appreciate it a lot. Well, I'll be back in a couple of hours, folks. Bye.
well, for the love of... Well, that's a fine state of how do you do. Wilcox running away with our guest.
Heavenly days, McGee. You can't deny the man a business call. He has to make a living.
No, I don't see why...
Oh, maybe Mr. Smith forgot something. Come in. Oh, hello, Beulah.
Evening, folks. Could I converse with you a brief moment?
Why, sure, Beulah, sure. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you, sir. Mrs. Toops want to know. Mrs. Toops, that's where I work, at the Toops.
Yeah, we know.
Well, Miss Toops, she was playing contact bridge this afternoon, and she won a bottle of mint sauce, and she want to know, can she borrow enough meat points so she can get a shoulder of lamb?
Well, I'm sorry, Beulah. Tell her we're short of meat points ourselves.
Borrow enough meat points for a roast. That woman has got more brass than the Boston Symphony.
Got no brass. Look at you.
Well, don't ask me, Beulah. The woman can't testify against her own husband, you know. By the way, Beulah, do you wear a uniform over at Toops's?
Yes, and Mr. Toops say I ought to wear a 10-gallon hat, too, on account of I'm so at home on the range.
How do you dress on the days when they have company?
Well, sir, first I put on my shoes and my hose, then I get out of bed and I listen to my... Who want to know that?
He meant what uniform do you wear, Beulah?
Oh, excuse me, sir. I just wear the usual, a little white apron and a banana on my head.
You mean bandana?
Yes, and that's what I said, banana. Well, thank you much, folks, and don't forget, if and you ever need a good cook, I'm a specialist on, what's your favorite dish, Mr. McGee?
Squab and wild rice.
Oh, that's my specialty. Yes, and I make it with plain rice.
Huh?
Because when it seems a squab, it go wild. Well, good night.
The King's Men and Mersey Dote.
Everybody's doing it, you hear it every minute. A kiddly-divey too, wouldn't you? Or would you? Mersey dotes and dozy dotes, there must be something in it. We've done a little research on the sly. And brother, there is more to this than meets the eye. Skunksy derbs and monksy derbs and little fawns together. A yackly tether too, are you listening? Skunksy derbs and monksy derbs and little fawns together. A yackly tether too, wouldn't you? The words sound queer and crazy to the ear, but it's easy to put them together. Say a ramsey Ramsey pie and Lamsey pie and Renzy corn and Hensy corn. And did you know that little skunks eat heather?
Oh, no.
Skunksy derps and monksy derps and little ponds together. A yaggly tether too, wouldn't you? A yaggly tether too, wouldn't you? Cows are tweeting, sows are tweeting, little bears are tiny, a piggly tiny too, and you would too if you could get it. Cows are tweeting, sows are tweeting, little bears are tiny, a piggly tiny too, and don't forget it. Now everybody knows that a cow eats corn, and if a berry tiny, he will get stung. And everybody knows that if a pig won't eat, he's either too old or too young. So cows are tweeting, sows are tweeting, little bears are tiny, a piggly tiny too, and you can bet it. Snails are deals and whales are deals and little sharks are oyster, a squiddly oyster too. Wouldn't you? Leave us faces. Snails are deals and whales are deals and little sharks are oyster, a squiddly oyster too.
Wouldn't you?
We embrace it. The words sound a little queer, aren't they just a bit peculiar to the ear? They make you want to run away and climb into a cloister. Or skipping all that silly stuff about snails eating eels. Just how does a shark crack an oyster? Snails are deals and cows are tweets and skunks are dirts and funky meats and there's a dotes and those are dotes and little lambs are daisies. We are going crazy too, wouldn't you?
How do you like these cigars, Bill? They're good, aren't they?
Oh, swell, Fibber. They're great. How long have you been smoking?
First one I ever tried. Where'd you buy them?
Downtown here somewhere. Man, I'm so full of food I can hardly breathe. That was a wonderful dinner, Molly.
Well, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Say, by the way, speaking of food, you remember where we used to go for those wonderful malted milks back in our school days?
Oh, you mean up in the same block as the...
As the shoe store that was run by the father
I
of...
remember. He was in the same English class. What was that teacher's name again?
Fiditch.
Fiditch.
Yeah.
Now, she went around with a fellow who...
Went with him. She was married to him.
That's right. She went around with him, too.
See, was your father the Smith that had the cleaning and dyeing place over?
No, Molly. That was another Smith. His name...
Oh, I remember him. He was from up on the...
That's right. And then your father must have been the one that...
That's the one. Did a great business, too. Made a lot of money.
Yeah, I remember the place. Just across the street from the store that sold the...
Oh, were they good. 2 for a nickel.
That was the first place Dad had. The second place was over near the...
I know, with the green awning.
And the windows full of... Oh, I love that shop.
Yes, it was a very popular place with the...
The high school crowd. Yeah, oh, boy, it sure was. How'd your old man ever get into that business, Bill?
Well, that's a pretty long story. I think Molly's pretty tired. I'd love to sit around and gab all night, but I've got a long train ride tomorrow, and... Well, that was a wonderful dinner, Molly.
Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Smith. Say, I put an extra blanket on your bed in case it turned cold tonight.
Thanks a lot. McGee, you're a lucky man.
Well, she's a lucky woman, too. I paid for the blanket.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night, Billy boy.
Say, what on earth was that silly routine we were doing?
I don't know. You mean about the green awning and
Sure.
streets of... I don't know. I'm kind of baffled myself.
You know, the more I see of Mr. Smith, the less I can remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure we know him?
Why, sure, I'm sure. He come right up to me on the street and called me by name, didn't he? And asked how little Molly Driscoll was. My gosh, if he wasn't the real thing, he'd never... Who's that?
Who makes calls at this time of night? Come in, Doctor. Hello, Dr. Gamble.
Hello, Molly. Saw you light and thought I'd stop and say hello. Hello, slum child. Who's the proud papa?
Proud Papa.
Don't tell me you bought a decent cigar. Hmm? That doesn't smell like your usual brand of mildewed buggy whip.
Well, it was given to him by our house guest doctor, an old school chum from Peoria.
Yeah, sorry you weren't here earlier, Doc. Like to have had you met him.
Yes, I'm sorry, too. Any school chum of yours would be a curiosity to me. You must show me your third-grade diploma sometime.
Oh, now, Doctor, McGee went further than that.
Don't talk to us about education, you silly aspirin peddler. only reason you turned out to be an ear specialist is because you peeked over so many people's shoulders at examination time.
Why, you ignorant little ignoramus. It's no wonder you wound up working for whom you do, the way you must have polished apples to get through the elementary grade. Why,
Is that so? Why you big...
Boys, be quiet. Mr. Smith is asleep.
Why, you big egotistical, swell-headed, five-better cap pistol. You couldn't study your way through Mother Goose.
And any time you can show me a high school diploma, you phony little infinitive splitter, I'll eat it in the window of Kramer's drugstore with lettuce and mayonnaise.
Now, boys, please don't do that.
Look who's talking. Why, I've been further under the barn looking for eggs than you ever went in your whole college career. You test tube titmouse.
Yeah? And the only reason I took up medicine is so that I could wear rubber gloves and strangle stupid little biological Say, before I forget it, McGee, haven't we got a cribbage game scheduled for tomorrow?
McGee said you did. At the Elks at 2:30.
Can you make it, Doc?
I'll be there. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
So long, kid. Great guy, Doc. I'd like to have had Bill Smith meet him.
Well, I'd still like to know if he went to school with you or with me.
Oh, well. We'll ask him in the morning. Well, let's go to bed.
Wonderful breakfast, Molly.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Smith. How'd you sleep?
Like a top.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah?
Well, Molly and I got to talking about everything last night, and we're kind of puzzled. Which one of us did you go to school with?
Yes, you know, McGee and I were several grades apart in school.
Well, you've been too nice to me to be a rat any longer. I didn't go to school with either one of you.
What?
In fact, I've never been in Peoria in my life.
Well, heavenly days.
Well, doggone it, what was the idea of giving us that old childhood playmate business?
Look, did you ever try to rent a hotel room in this town?
Of all the deceitful, chiseling grafters, that guy Smith was the dirtiest, lowest down...
Now, for goodness sakes, McGee. The man was desperate.
Yeah.
And he can't be so bad when he was so thoughtful as to send me these beautiful flowers.
Oh, yeah? Trying to patch it all up with $3 worth of petunias, eh?
Oh, no.
By George, when I give this story to the newspapers and he sees his name in print, he won't be...
Oh, say, McGee, I forgot to tell you. He sent you this box of cigars, too.
Cigars? The kind he gave me before? That was a pretty clever stunt of his at that, you know. Great personality, Smith.
My, how he has changed.
Huh?
Never mind.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, all.
This rebroadcast of the Fibber, McGee, and Molly Show is a presentation of the Armed Forces Radio Service.